why I love my job. Every day on Kababayan today, I meet a lot of Kababayans who give me a reason to be proud that I am Filipino. And not only that, they give me hope, they give us inspiration that even if, you uproot yourself from the Philippines and you transplant yourself here, you struggle, you start from the scratch, from the bottom to reestablish yourself, you can make it. And our guest this afternoon is one prime example for that. She did not just make it, she is also thriving. Just got an award from the President of the Philippines, no less, last year. Congratulations to you.
Thank you, Janelle.
And welcome to Kababayan today.
I'm thrilled to be here in LA with the warm weather and in your show. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes, she flew all the way from Chicago, so thank you. And she's here today to talk to us about being an author of color, something like, can you explain that to us?
Well, I write multicultural books and stories, and all of them about our Filipino-American or Filipino heritage, and the market is here in the U.S. In fact, one of my books, which is the picture book called Really Wins, is the largest circulation Filipino-American children's book in the U.S.
Congratulations.
And so, because I'm of another heritage, brown, that's why Leon Lowe, the publisher, calls me a writer of color.
Yes.
So, it's nice.
And this is quite surprising as well, because you actually went to school for a different major.
Right.
And you actually didn't start out as an author, as a professional author.
Right.
Tell us how you stumbled upon writing.
Well, I was, teaching at the Graduate School of Business at DePaul University in Chicago. And my graduate degree was actually in social science, so something different. And but I had always written as a young child. My first poem was about the time I had in Puerto Galera, Mindoro, which is one of my favorite places in the world. And ever since then, all throughout grade school, I kept up that writing, but I couldn't make it really a profession. And then when I had to leave for medical reasons from my job, then I thought, why not go back to my first love?
Right. How difficult was it? I know, medical condition, you were talking to me earlier about that, because we live such stressful lives in the U.S. And
Right.
I think it's more stressful and there's more pressure when you're an immigrant coming from the Philippines, where you were established and you had the comforts and convenience of, having
Right.
the lifestyle there. And then you move here. What was the most difficult thing about being an immigrant for you?
Actually, when I was teaching, so I was teaching in downtown Chicago, night classes because they were graduate students. And I lived in the suburbs. I would ride the train. And if anybody of you who knows Chicago, it just, in the winter, I had to get on the train, come back at night, scrape the snow off my car. I'm sure that's why I developed hypertension. But just even little things like that are hard for somebody who's used to the tropics.
And I like zeroing in on that, because each of us has our own immigrant story to tell.
Yes.
And when we hear of people succeeding and overcoming those obstacles, it just gives us more inspiration to just move on. Some people just think, oh, this is too hard, give up. And some of them, in America is not for everyone. Some of them, but going back to you, I'm sorry, I tend to digress. But going back to you, you've led a colorful life so far. Your latest book, though, is about just one color, and it's the best color.
Yes.
Color gold. Tell us,
metal. Yeah.
Yes, tell us about The Fire Beneath.
So, this was inspired by a true story, which is the discovery of the Surigao treasures. That is the largest collection of gold artifacts in the Philippines. Many pieces are on exhibit, permanent exhibit at the Ayala Museum in Makati, and they were gracious enough to host my book launch there. The reason I started writing about this was because the curator of that exhibit is a friend of mine, Dr. Capistrano Baker, and she said, wouldn't this make a fascinating story? Actually, I correct myself, it was her sister who said that. Wouldn't this make a fascinating story? And so I said, yeah, discovery of gold, what happens to that person?
And yes, the person who discussed, I was at the Ayala Museum last February when I was there in the Philippines, and we did visit the Ayala Museum. The collection is just amazing. It's jaw-dropping.
Right.
And it's kind of bittersweet to know that it were simple miners who discovered Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, is there a market for that though? A fiction like that? Or were you thinking of just the Filipino audience when you were writing the book?
Actually, it was published here in San Francisco, in California, and by Korean Press. So I wanted to reach out to mainstream readers. In fact, many parts of that novel were workshopped at Northwestern University in a master class by a professor. I was the only person of color. Everybody else is, Anglo.
Yeah.
And they loved it. They said, it's magical realism. And I said, it's not magical, but yeah, it's realistic.
It's realism, yeah.
It actually
What
happened.
did they find magical about it?
Well, I guess the style and just the fact that it was set in an exotic location. And I said, probinsya lang yun.
Right. So is that an advantage? Is is being a writer of color an advantage to you, you think? Because you're drawing from an exotic experiences, exotic experiences, yeah.
Well, I don't think that the American readership is that adventurous. I think there's some of them who will read ethnic stories, and there are a lot of Indian writers out there. And actually, I'm very proud of the Filipino-American writers as well. Yeah. But it's always risky. When I market my work to mainstream publishers, they always, they're hesitant about multicultural. That's why whenever one of us breaks into that market, it's a big celebration for everybody.
How do you do it then? How do you break the barriers? How have you done it?
Well, I just write and keep sending out to mainstream publishers, keep sending out even if the remuneration, the compensation is not that good, but I just want readers to read about our culture.
I know, and you can't take rejection personally. I hear that a lot too. So just be persistent, the same way as, as immigrants trying to, survive and thrive here in the U.S. But thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Not enough, because, and it's fine, because you have a chance to meet her, get an autograph of her book, get a copy of her book, and talk to her, ask her your own questions. You're going to be featured in an event tonight. Yes. Tell us about it.
Well, that's sponsored by Philippine Expressions Bookstore, by the very, very gregarious Linda Nietes. And there are, I believe, 6 to 8 authors featured tonight. So 2 of us flying in from elsewhere in California.
And they met some already, because they were here. Some of the authors, Giovanni, Steve Yagyagan, and Leslie Ryan, they were here last Tuesday. So it's the same event, guys. There's going to be, 8 authors?
I think 8 authors, yeah.
Learn from them, celebrate their achievements, celebrate their being our Kababayan prides. Thank you, and more power
Thanks,
to you.
Janelle. Thanks for your show.
All right, Entertainment Report. When we return on the show, don't go away.